My Hero Academia was the chosen one for a bit. It was the ultimate combination of shonen anime, superheroes. It was a gateway anime. It was a great effort from Studio Bones. There was minimal filler, mostly little filler. Um, and you got it every couple of years. There'd be a new thing of 25 episodes. Would adapt the manga, gave the manga enough time. It wasn't like a Baruto, fuck them until they're dead kind of thing. But holy fuck, did
fuck them until they're dead.
Yeah,
Baruto kind of thing.
Yeah. That's what as much as I hate to say it, I think One Piece is also kind of counts as that, where it's just this like huge production that always is producing 52 episodes for every goddamn year, where, we get to the sin of, I hate it. Producing filler, stretching out content, just doing all the shit we hate.
Oh, God, yeah.
But My Hero had the benefit of having self-contained seasons, mostly non-filler, mostly non-stretched out. And it was the chosen one. It had a huge American fandom. They got a fandom that was so big that people started to hate the My Hero fandom. It replaced the Naruto fandom as like the most hated fandom on the internet for anime. But then we had season 5. And season 5, as I've talked about in my Hero month, fucked up my favorite arc in the series. It butchered it. It put all the fucking time and attention to what I think is like just a mediocre mid arc. And let's not forget about the fucking Deku. So Goro, what do you think of the revelation that Deku actually has like 7 or 8 quirks hiding inside of him?
I don't know. I was like thinking about it, like it feels like it could be a cop out depending on how it is executed, like in order to sort of take on someone like All For One, and then I guess potentially Shigaraki. But then I didn't realize like Shigaraki would later get All For One's power. So kind of I don't know. I just felt like, yeah, it would have been nice if he just kept on figuring out new uses for his current power, like or just kept on enhancing his current uses for his other powers, like to make like special armor adjustments so he can do the special flick thing. Like I thought those were pretty cool.
Yeah, that felt like what it should have been. Like,
yeah, so we can do like long range attacks with his like hyper strength stuff. Like that stuff feels pretty smart to use for like as a mini power up for our Deku,
And he just like comes up with like these new technological, and it works really well because like you can have like, this is my Mach 5 hero suit. I lost the subsystem for my finger flip. I still have the jet booster and this other bullshit that is in laser whip. And you're right. That felt like it felt like a saving throw from Horikoshi, where he didn't really know how to keep on making Deku Smash be interesting. So he's like, I'm just going to give him a bunch of other fucking quirks.
Yeah, but I mean, depending on how he executed this, like,
you've seen pretty fucking far. There's like some stuff that's coming up that'll, further develop it a little bit more. But like, I think you could talk about it, how it's been executed. You had season 5 and half of season 6.
Yeah, like, to me, it seems like, there's an advantage he has now with the Dark Whip, while also having the super strength now fully under his control. And then he gets revealed another power, which is like Spidey Sense, and he can. Oh, that's for later though, but that's for the next season. But that every time he gets a new power, it becomes like almost like a hindrance. Like, oh, he's got to relearn this new power again. Oh, and of course he's going to become stronger now because he's learning multiple quirks at once and how to integrate them and combine them. Um, which I guess it didn't feel like the whole purpose of uh, One for All to begin with. It felt like One for All was basically the culmination of all the previous user's strengths put into that one person.
That was the selling point before. It was like
Right.
this thing that like stored up more power and it got more powerful with each generation. Like I have such mixed feelings. Like it does the thing I love in shonen, which is generational legacy.
Mhm.
But like to sell that, you needed to introduce that at like chapter 50 or chapter 70, not chapter 200 after All Might's lost all his power.
Right.
It's like imagine like because then the fucking war arc. Well, it is like one of the most worst decisions Horikoshi made. I think what he should have done is after the My Villain Academia arc, there should have been like some smaller arcs where you see like the new Paranormal Liberation Front, and they're like trying to raid like tech from like secret facilities to like build some sort of super weapon for an evil plan. So that way you can have smaller arcs where you see the new status of the League of Villains now that they have resources. And then you could also like have Deku have like little mini arcs where he like meets one of the predecessors and they show him how to use this power and like have little mini training arcs as he learns his new quirks.
Are you talking about how the anime fucked up the manga, or is it
No,
like the criticism for the manga itself?
This is this isn't so much criticism. There's plenty to criticize about the manga. Oh boy, or the anime. But this is just like a Horikoshi core manga storytelling. That like I thought he had a great status quo after My Villain Academia, but the boringest thing you could have done was like Shigaraki needs to go into a hyperbolic time chamber to get stronger.
Right. Yeah.
And like, I mean, it was always building up to a war arc, and I like war arcs. I think war arcs are great, especially the king of war arcs, Marineford.
Depending on how you execute them, yeah. Marineford it was pretty fun, but like I guess one of my issues with Marineford, especially in the anime, felt very dragged out, but that's probably just a One Piece anime thing. Maybe I feel
that's just like you could say that about Wano, you can say that about Dressrosa, that's Toei.
right.
I think the Marineford in the anime was handled slightly better than some other One Piece shit. You know how it is. You've seen the anime, you've seen the manga. The manga is always like the best source. The anime is just like, I want to see these signature scenes with hype animation, good music, and voice acting.
Yeah.
And then that's what you get, and the rest is just kind of like slogging through how can Toei stretch one chapter into 2 episodes.
But ever since starting reading One Piece after I think it was towards the end of Dressrosa arc, like I couldn't wait any longer. Like I had to start reading the manga after towards the end of Dressrosa. Like I saw a significant difference in like the pacing of One Piece. It's like opened my eyes. Like, why did I do that to myself? Like, why did I go like every episode where it's like dun 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 dun. He's like, oh, he flexed his fist. Is he getting ready to fight?
Let the Marines know it's Filler McBad guy. Oh, Don Quixote's staring really menacingly. Oh,
It's like, oh God, we'll figure out every single which way to stretch out the fucking manga in One Piece. It's like unbearable. Like, wow. Now looking at it at the anime, it's just like, God, please, just just wait for Oda to keep writing, make his manga. Just
get
put
ahead.
One Piece anime on pause or do a remake. I want to see a remake of One Piece. I would love
That
to
would
see
be wild if they like just stopped at one point and then they just like made it. I mean, eventually I think we're gonna get a One Piece Kai, where it's like they just edit down the 1,000+ episodes to One Piece to like 500 or whatever.
The only problem is, I think they'll have to get a whole new cast of voice actresses. I feel like the One Piece voice actors and actresses are getting like too old to play their roles. It's like this has been going on for like plus what 20 years or something like that.
Well, I don't think they'll remake. I mean, you're right; they could remake it, but I think what they'll do is, Dragon Ball Z Kai didn't re-record the voices mostly; it just edited the episodes down.
Oh, you think you can just do that with the magic of editing? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I think they could. I don't know if you ever, I'm sure there's some video that'll explain like One Piece Kai versus the original release. I remember like the famous story is that like during the Frieza Goku fight, like the manga was only like 5 or 6 or maybe 10 chapters ahead of the anime, and that's why that fight is like so stretched out.
I gotta say, manga.
While it's so anyway, Marineford I still say is the best.
Yeah.
Don't hold it down. Go reread the manga if you really are have any feeling that like that isn't true, because it completely is.
But what other war arcs do you know of besides Marineford and the Shippuden one, Naruto Shippuden one, and then there's the I guess Bleach has a war arc in some ways. Oh, it always has a war arc in a lot of ways. And then there's the My Hero Academia one.
So I guess they aren't like a super. The upcoming Shibuya incident could be considered a war arc.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that yet.
Well, look forward to it this summer.
Yeah.
So, how do you think this war arc compared to other fucking war arcs?
I don't know. This was pretty mid, to be honest.
How can you say it's mid? Oh my god, Bakugo gets stabbed with tentacles, and fucking people get fucked up, people die, there's brutal hero deaths. Oh my god, the League of Villains twice dies, casualties on both sides. How could you say it's mid? Ugh.
Yeah, I don't know. Just feels like what is the Giganto guy's power thing?
Potato also, I'll explain to you the Giganto Makio's Potato says, does AOT Part 2 count as a war arc? So the Attack on Titan, I guess you could say Marley versus Paradis. That's a war arc.
Yeah, but it kind of feels like a skirmish. Like it's like maybe like a 2-episode skirmish, and then they kind of like dip out. And yeah.
You could say like there's the first skirmish, and then there's the big battle where Marley invades Paradis Island with the blimps.
Oh, the blimps. But
I know it's been a minute.
Wait, what happened with those blimps? Like,
remember?
Didn't Aaron like win that overall at the very end?
So I'll remind you what happens. The blimps come in, they paratroop up the forces of Marley. There's a big 3D versus like World War II soldier battle, and then Zeke comes in with his rocks, and he throws rocks at them.
You know what? I guess sometimes when I do like about war arcs maybe this does count as war arcs. It's like when it's like a period of skirmishes, like maybe like 1 or 2 episode skirmishes. There's maybe like a long pause, and then they continue on again with a battle. I feel like just having a continuous like big battle, like
That's what
orgasmic event.
that's what a war arc for you is, just like one big final battle where everyone's
Yeah, it
like
takes place over like 20 episodes or some shit like that. Like to me, that doesn't feel necessary to always make a like a good. I don't think I gotta rethink my way of uh what it means to be a war arc. Like I guess those I do appreciate those like sometimes small breaks between skirmishes like that. Well, it wasn't a small break, it was kind of a long break, but those like those like two big skirmishes, I guess they could be like interpreted as a war arc in a sense. And I did really appreciate Attack on Titan for doing something like that. Where they didn't try and prolong the battles that much, whereas like uh too much, you know.
because like there's a lot of story beats, but like just everything about it was like just the animation wasn't as good as it needed to be. It just felt like doing the bare minimum.
Mm.
Like I'm trying to think. I think the only one standout moment was like the rabbit girl. Everything else just felt like it was trying to use the voice acting and the music to like hype it up.
Yeah, and I gotta say the intro song to that arc is just like so out of like like the the tone of like the song for that intro is just like so like out of touch of like what the subject matter is.
Yeah. Oh God, did I come to hate that intro over time? I hated the comic book onomatopoeia. I just thought that was really fucking stupid. I just thought we even One Piece with all its like cheery joints managed to go serious for like the Whitebeard War. It kind of had a somber arc that like reflected the heavy stakes. Like
Yeah,
what the fuck the super beaver bullshit.
yeah,
It
yeah,
just
pretty much.
every time I saw it, I hated it more and more.
Yeah,
Which is a shame because like I was hoping that like at the very least there's like a lot of like big moments that I thought, oh yeah, you were asking what is Gigantomachia's power?
yeah. Someone explain that to me because like I still don't understand. He's just like a big stupid golem that no one can hurt somehow.
Oh, the whole idea is that he's like supposed to be one for all super soldier. He's the ultimate bodyguard, and unlike other things, he has multiple quirks. So he's like this kind of like Nomu genetic abomination. So let's see, he's got immense strength, immense speed, immense durability. All right, here are the quirks. Endurance. Gigomontia's original quirk allows him to convert his morale into physical energy and stamina. So the more hyped up he is, the bigger and more he can endure. Pain blocker. Gigantomachia's second quirk makes him unable to detect any pain. Gigantification. His third quirk allows him to grow to gigantic sizes the more he is agitated or excited. Dog. He has heightened senses of smell, hearing similar to that of a dog's. Energy saver. Allows his body to function with very small amounts of nutrition or hydration. So he could just kind of like sleep and not do much. Fierce gains. It allows his muscles to harden exceptional levels. And mole, it allows him to sprout mole-like claws from his fingers, spines on his back, and a visor, seemingly part of his lower jaw, shielding his face to help him dig through the earth, as well as through obstacles such as buildings. All for one gave him this quirk with a purpose to hide underground.
And how was Shikamaru not able to disintegrate him like throughout all of his fights?
You mean Shigaraki?
Sorry, Shigaraki, yes.
I don't know. I don't know when they were having that fight why Shigaraki couldn't kill him. It's never explained well. I think giving Shigaraki the decay quirk was one of the worst decisions Horikoshi made. I think that's half the reason why I gave him one for all. Just because, like, Shigaraki should just basically win every fight he has.
Yeah, like if you're giving him such a uber powerful disintegration quirk, you gotta come up with like some more intelligent battles than just like a punch fest,
I wish
because
you.
otherwise uh it just feels like not really it feels like you're making like writing ass pulls when you have like situations where yeah, Deku's gonna punch the shit out of Shigaraki and he'll probably fall unconscious. Or Shigaraki is gonna touch Deku and probably disintegrate one of his arms. And Deku doesn't really have a good counter for that.
I wish you could watch my Shigaraki versus Mahito video that I made comparing them two, because I think they're very similar. Remember Mahito from Jujutsu Kaisen?
Right, where he could turn people into spirits or cursed spirits or something.
Well, so like, why Mahito's better than Shigaraki, at least from a design standpoint? Because they're kind of similar. The whole idea is that Shigaraki is a supervillain in training. He's working to be the next Joker. He's going through My Villain Academia. I love that setup. I think it's one of the smartest things in My Hero Academia overall.
Right.
I'm a big Shiggy fan. I love it that he's just a stupid, edgy gamer boy. But
Yep.
Mahito, so basically, kind of functions the same. If he touches you, he can transform you into like one of those mutated humans. That he can like turn into a tool, turn you into a monster. You can do all kinds of fun shit with that. So essentially, sorcerers can repel him if they like focus their cursed energy, but he still has that one-touch rule of fucking people up. But what makes him more interesting is he can touch his body and transform it into like other biomechanical parts. So he can have like wings, horse hooves, claws, shapes, other bullshit. Which means he can kind of get into a more interesting tussle with other characters like Itadori than Shigaraki can, where it's like it just feels like Shigaraki, he should just be able to kill. I mean, it would make more sense if we got a scene where like he tries to touch Makia, then like his regeneration, like his decay can't keep up with Makia's regeneration. We never see that.
Right. Exactly. So in a sense, like every time we see them fight, it's like it kind of feels awkward seeing them fight, and like Shigaraki like having to run away from this monster. Like at some point, like this has got to be this fight is gonna end instantly if Shigaraki could beat Makima and probably like severely maim him at the very least through his disintegration power. Like at that point, you got to think like this should be a mind game battle, more or less, than an actual physical like punch the shit out of each other kind of thing.
Well, that's what Horikoshi's not really good at. He's not good at like coming up with like extended cool things to do with his power. Most of his powers are like one trick pony that do like one. There's a few that I like. Like I think Hawks' power is really cool. I like the guy who eats stuff and can take on the different aspects of animals. I think that's a neat power. But most of the time, it's like I've got this one gimmick, and he struggles to like try and come up with interesting things to sell them on their superpowers.
Right. In some sense, I think he could have maybe come up with like even a ranking system for like hero abilities. Like, oh, these heroes, their quirks rank in like the lower range, and they should focus on lower range villains because of their low level quirks. But if your quirk is like, you shoot sunblasts out of your fucking eyes. Like you're probably in the higher tiers.
There's a little bit of that, but it's not really gone into any depth. And the fact that there's hero agencies and sidekicks, so assumingly, like, you're if you're a sidekick, you either have like a quirk that isn't really great for frontline battle,
Right.
or you're in training to hopefully start your own agency. But it's not something that the series goes into a great amount of depth about.
Right. And I think that would help. Yeah, I think it would help organize like which quirks are obviously not that important or not that powerful, and which quirks are like of the higher echelon that you know villains and heroes have to worry about because as it is right now it's it's kind of it's like a jumbled mess. It's like oh, maybe any quirk can beat any quirk as long as you have, the heart and determination and strength of your friends to to beat it. But, realistically, you see a quirk like Shigaraki's, it should be one of the higher tier quirks. Like, if you have to, you seriously have to come up with a strategy around such a high tier quirk where you're like, obviously we can't touch him. There has to be a lot of planning involved with how you deal with Shigaraki, and I think that would make for a much more interesting scenario where they confront Shigaraki and they're like, hey, these are the measures we need to take in order to beat Shigaraki. Obviously, we need Eraserhead, but other measures as well. If
Well,
other heroes interact with Shigaraki, then they need to enact those kind of countermeasures to be like, okay, we need to get the fuck away from this guy.
it's very interesting. You probably won't see it in this season, but like in the final arc that's going on right now, there's like a big set piece moment where they like build like this cage with like all these countermeasures to fight Shigaraki. But like your main villain, you shouldn't have to have like Aizawa has to be there to use his eraser quirk to prevent Shigaraki from killing everything. Like
Right.
your main villain should not have to require this other character to have a believable fight.
Right.
That's not a good mechanism.
Yeah, it's not. Uh, so so when it so like like I was saying, like what would have been really fun to see actually if Shigaraki uh like eliminated Eraserhead right from the get-go, and then Deku and the rest had to figure out like, okay, uh what was our plan again? How to deal with Shigaraki's like triple A quirk. Um and they would have already come up with a plan, and then they'd explain it to the rest of the group, and then be like, this is how we deal with Shigaraki. Make sure you're not touching the ground. We're gonna do long distance attacks. We're gonna use snipers to take him out when he comes around this area, and you're gonna lure him here, and we're gonna snipe him. And then Shigaraki will have his other villains potentially taking out the snipers from behind the scenes. Like, I think that would have been some really fun storytelling.
Some sort of storytelling. Like I was like so hoping that they would go ham for the animation. Because like I think the art, like despite my issues with the storytelling of the war arc, I think the art's really good. I think Horikoshi just does one banger page after another.
But
I'd almost
I,
be tempted to like give you like the chapters so you could just skim through it, just to see like how intense it looks and how good it looks. But like when you have that kind of like flat My Hero animation style and you don't have any Sakuga moments, it's just like, oh my god, it's like it sucks all the fucking life out of it.
yeah, uh, I would be interested in seeing those pages, like if you want to show me. But I feel like even if you have like the most amazing like action sequence, I feel like the story is like kind of like the fundamental like bread and butter of like what is making it entertaining, even if it looks pretty. And it's the story and also the characters. Like that's gotta be that's gotta be, you know, the highlights here.
Yeah, and just having like Deku, like, I'm gonna punch bro Shigaraki and end it here. I'm so angry. My eyes
Yeah,
are on fire. I'm just gonna punch bro him before he can regenerate. Ah!
yeah, it's like, you know, to try and get Deku to be angry at Shigaraki is also kind of like it, it doesn't feel like it's weird. I Yeah, Shigaraki killed like so many people with his quirk, with his disintegration quirk, but you don't really like feel a significant sense of loss
Oh,
with
because they're all
Deku.
like Mook side characters. The thing where it's supposed to be personal is when he injures Bakugo.
Right.
His abusive lover.
Right, exactly. When he enters Bakugo, like he's like, that's the last straw. You're the most hated villain I've ever met. But like in a sense, like it doesn't feel like it's earned. It doesn't feel like it's earned, you know? Like that's not even with all like logically it makes sense. Like, yeah, all these people died because of Shigaraki, but we don't really get to see like Deku's real sense of loss. Like I wish we would see like a more visceral sense of loss from Deku. Like maybe like one of his like a few of his teachers, previous mentors died
Well, oh, they
during the
tried that
fight.
with like Gran Torino, where it looks like he got fucked up. But yeah, I think he still makes it out of it alive, so he technically didn't die.
Right, but like you know to see yeah, like to see Deku like sort of viscerally reacting to like a mangled corpse of his mentor. Like I think that would be way more effective for him like pumping up to get angry. Like and Deku like going back through his head like how did this mentor like teach me all these things of how to become a strong hero and how Shigaraki is trampling all over that like that is so disgraceful and despicable. I really I really fucking hate this guy. Like he's trampling over everything that these teachers have and mentors have taught him, you know?
Yeah, there were. It's funny. Potato S is saying Mob Psycho is the priority in this situation because, like, the third season of Mob Psycho is also produced by Bones, and from what I've heard, like, they went ham for that. So it
Yep.
feels like it was like a My Hero, the World Heroes situation all over again, where the A team is like putting out the really shit, but the My Hero is just like it's stupid shonen sludge. They'll eat what they're given. The fucking stupid My Hero tards.
they're getting they're getting mid sludge for lunch, you know, in
Oh
the
God,
cafeteria.
yeah. Oh, I was like hoping like maybe it would be on par with the Thousand Year Blood War because it's such a fucking important arc, but no. It was not in any fucking respective aspect. And the Dobby dance. Oh my fucking God, you fucked up the Dobby dance. We should have had some like cool rotoscoping. It should have like influenced the, felt like it was from like the Joker, because that's what
Right.
obviously it was referencing in the manga. It's like literally designed to parallel the Joker staircase scene. But instead, it's like this stupid panoramic view, and he's like, and it's like, holy no, this is so miserably directed. Oh fuck, no, what did you do to my boy?
Yeah. Potato saying, yeah, deal with the Eraserhead immediately and then maybe have him kill off Dragon Girl who does something reckless and then that's of an oh moment. Yeah, I feel like that would have been really cool. Like that would have raised the stakes significantly. Without a Eraserhead, like you'd have practically no like real way to deal with Shigaraki's like mass destruction. Like at that point. So
Oh, that's why he can't go away. Eraserhead has to be there. And you can't kill him off, and yada yada. And he's also like the Kakashi of the series. So I don't think Horikoshi has the balls. I mean, he does mutilate him a little bit, where he has to like cut off his leg. But
but you could like potentially put him in a coma or something like that, and then have one of the flying heroes like whisk him away to safety from all the destruction. something like that.
And they have to come up with smart shit to stop him.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
so how did you think of, like, this is also a huge turning point where it turns out that All for One just wants to take over Shigaraki's body? Because, like, I thought that this was like definitely like a huge point where the series kind of went downhill. Well, there are a lot of points, but it was something that I really hated.
Yeah, I mean, that didn't really make any sense. Like, I mean, I guess it feels like a just as Eisen planned kind of thing, you know? It's like, now I will take over the true successor's body, and he was my successor, but I'm going to become my own successor kind of thing. Like, it's weird.
It's just stupid. Like, I don't understand. Like, if you're just going to control someone, why didn't you, like, just take some random schmucks, put your quirk in their body, and then take over them? Why did you need? I mean, I think the explanation is that, like, he needed to foster someone who was just such a hater, who had just so much haterade that that would allow him the power to steal All for One. I still don't understand why he even needs One for All. Like, what does that get him if he gets it back? How does that make him more powerful? But yeah, I like the dynamic that, like, All for One just likes fucking with people. He just likes screwing around, and like, what better way to, like, fuck with All Might than to, like, raise a successor? And then, like, he's this super villain, mastermind, gangster guy, but like, he's also, like, a really caring teacher who wants to raise the next generation. I thought that was an interesting dynamic, and just have him be the bad guy and have Shigaraki kind of, like, be this, like, oh, but he's really sympathetic. He's really a good guy underground who just wanted to be a hero, just went on the wrong path, just to me, like,
oh, you're breaking up a little
completely
bit.
neuters Shirao.
You there? You still there? Hello?
Can you see me now?
You're like,
yeah, I'm still here.
You're like lagging. You're
I
like
hear
lagging. You're like lagging. Oh wait, yeah, I think you're back now.
You were fine for me.
Okay, yeah, so you were starting to lag for me for a second.
Oh, it said OBS disconnected, so that's probably what happened. Then it reconnected.
Oh, okay, got it.
That's interesting. So, but like, I just hated the. I thought it was interesting that there were One for All is just like this evil villain who just wants to train the next generation just to fuck with All Might and fuck with people. And like, I like Shigaraki being raised to be like a Joker level menace by having this, like, great super villain in, like, a wheelchair take over for him. Like, supposedly the reason why he's doing it is he needed, like, someone who was so hateful that he could rip back.
Okay, so you still, like, dropped out a little bit, but I understood what you were saying for the most part, and I wanna mention this reminds me of a little bit of a situation where it was done much better in Naruto, where Orochimaru, he's a super badass villain, and he is looking to transfer his essence into a younger body. Like, the way they told that,
I like where you're going. I like where you're going with this.
Yeah. So with that, the way they developed that story, that was way more interesting, and, like, it's right off the bat, like, yeah, we already know Orochimaru's plans to transfer his soul into a younger soul. If they had some kind of, like, level of foreshadowing of, like, yeah, this is what All for One is planning to do with Shigaraki, like, yeah, and they're, like, doing these, like, really sketchy experiments to, like, transfer his soul, and All for One is, like, trying to find like the perfect specimen to do it with. To like in that sense, I feel like uh, it would have felt like a much better way to tell that kind of story. Uh, but this was just kind of like out of the blue, like oh, all of a sudden it was just as Eisen planned kind of thing. Like now you see my real intention. I was actually Shigaraki the whole time. Oh, Potato saying the stream is fucking a bit now.
All right, so we were talking about One for All and him possessing Shigaraki, and you made a really interesting observation that it's basically kind of like the Orochimaru Sasuke relationship, but I guess the key difference is that One for All doesn't reveal his intentions until the very end, like versus the Sasuke thing where it's like very clear what's going on up front, or Orochimaru doesn't mince words, where One for All reveals at the very last minute, or One for All reveals at the very last minute, oh, I really wanted to possess you, Shigaraki. Ha ha ha, I'm going to control your body.
Yeah, it's like a fucking it's like a fucking ass pull. It's just as eyes in his plan moment. And what they could have done was something similar to Orochimaru, where Orochimaru had this elaborate but simple plan. Is like, I need a new body. Thanks, Potato. Good to be back. I need a new body, and I need it to be a strong, capable body, and that body is going to be Sasuke. And then there's this kind of like, tug of war mind game between Sasuke and Orochimaru. And of course Sasuke doesn't really want to be taken over, but he's gonna go over to Orochimaru's in order to get stronger from learning about his jutsus and training under him. And Orochimaru has to, he feels very confident that he'll be able to overtake Sasuke and eventually, there's this like they both know what each other are thinking in a kind of sense. Like, yeah, I know,
Yeah.
Sasuke, you're planning to backstab me, but I'm smarter than you are. And I'm gonna win over and eventually get that body of yours. But I know you're thinking you're just gonna use me, and but when you're finished using me, you think you're gonna kill me, but no, that's not how it's gonna happen.
I will say that was like one of the most hype moments in the manga. I remember reading it, like, oh shit, it's finally happening! Fuck yeah! When like Sasuke just like cuts down Orochimaru's door and he like stabs him through his like fucking crippled arms with his like lightning katana, and then you just saw that and you're like, yeah, fuck yeah!
Yeah. The and Orochimaru becoming like a snake, and Sasuke after fighting against his snake form. I think that made for some really interesting storytelling. They like Hirikoshi, is that it? He could have
Horikoshi.
He could have ripped off from that basically. Oh, you need me to open this?
There you go. That's why you need husbands. You need can openers.
I use the original One for All for its true intent.
Yeah, but that's interesting. One for All, like, there's never that dynamic. It's just for all we've seen, One for All is like kind of like he's very nurturing to Shigaraki. He gives him all these resources. He's like, you can fail. Yeah, all for one. He's like, you know, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna give you my name. I'm gonna like treat you really well. You can fail as much times as you want. I'm gonna give you my bio mutant things. You can have as many of them as you want. I'm gonna let you work with my doctor. I'm just gonna like do everything I can to like make you feel good, or like, you know, encourage you, let you fail, let you try things on your own, let you learn what makes a good villain. And there's never that sense that like, oh yeah, all this time I'm gonna take over your body. Ugh.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, yeah, you're kind of wondering also, like, I guess, what was the real purpose of All for One to do that? To train him to be like to be a villain, to go
Uh,
against them? I guess it was just like, oh, he thought he was like a like originally, like what was your initial thoughts of like why he trained Shigaraki?
my initial thoughts is that like, you know, I'm an evil villain. I'm just doing it to fuck with people. This I'm at the tail end of my life. I can't really do much, so it's just fun for me to have a protege. I really loved molding this kid into the next Joker. I'm just having a time of my life because I really fucking hate All Might. I really despise him. And what better way to get back at him than to teach a successor? So I to me that's what I originally thought it was, and that's why I liked him. I liked the fact that he was so nurturing and supportive, even though he's like
Right.
this evil villainous mastermind who has this bitchin' Darth Vader mask. You know,
Right.
and you know that was like the My Hero version of the Hokage fight, where All Might, and I still love that moment and think that was like one of the peaks of the series, where All for One fights you know, the decaying power of All Might as he's like forced to like reveal to the world his declining health.
Yeah, in his true form.
So
Uh
there was never anything that like made me think that like he wanted to take over Shigaraki, because I guess that idea was never introduced, that he was going to transplant his quirk into him.
yeah. Um yeah, there was no indication like that. And really that would have been, I think, what you just described, that would have been a much better way of telling this kind of story. Um, like maybe you could even have Shigaraki trying to break out uh, All for One out of prison, or some kind of elaborate plan to get him out of prison, and then All for One, like, you know, does his true last stand and then like dies, but Shigaraki capitalizes on that to like fuck up, the heroes organization in some
Well,
way.
it's interesting you should mention that. I'm really curious to see what you'll think of the Dark Deku arc, and you can finally watch my video where I talk about the end of My Hero Academia, which you will be seeing very soon. Now that
Okay.
the war's over. I'm curious to hear what you'll think of it. But yeah, I like that. But you're right, though. That would have been cool if, like, All for One came back, and Shigaraki was like, that was his ultimate test, breaking One for All out of prison.
Right.
That was like his graduating course of his Villain Academia. Because I still really love my Villain Academia. I like a villain fight where there's like no holds barred. I like the fact that the villainous organization that they're fighting against is just like 10 times more competent than the League of Villains, and that the narrative directly acknowledges that the League of Villains fucking sucks. They're just a bunch
Mhm.
of posers and edgelords. Fuck! Ah! And that
Yeah.
episode that made me so angry when they put that flashback that was supposed to be in My Hero Academia, and it makes no fucking sense because that flashback is from the perspective of Spinner, the Ninja Turtle lizard guy, but instead it's fucking from Mr. Compress, who is like next to no role in that flashback, and it doesn't make any sense of why he would like remember it.
uh yeah. So yeah, this goes back to the point where we were talking about before doing this review, where they strayed so far from the manga material in terms of ordering, that just so they can fit in a movie, so it makes sense in like the continuity in a weird abstract way, but doesn't really. Uh, it's not even a real part of the continuity. Yet they thought like, oh, if we just switch these story arcs, it will still all make sense. It'll still feel good.
It didn't. It felt.
No.
What did you think? As like someone like me who's not a manga purist, how did it feel to you? And do you see why I was so angry that they cut that sequence? What was your baseline impression? Even though I've talked about it and kind of ruined it.
Yeah, I I tend to agree with you on this. Like this is something they should not have mixed up at all because I guess what My Hero Academia does and has done it kind of like it kind of like busts its load like all at once in kind of way. So like for instance, the Dobby reveal, the the Dobby reveal that came, that came after an arc of my villain in the anime, but in My Hero in the manga, it that reveal for Dobby comes after he was mentioned briefly in um the Endeavor training arc, right? So like you kind of have like that immediate, almost immediate like ADD gratification of like, oh, Dobby is actually part of Endeavor's family. Like, oh, it's like, wow, I didn't think they would reveal it so quick. Apparently, and I still remember it. Like so. I think My Hero Academia, it kind of like it blows its load super hard and super quick when it comes to like story beats, and to have that gap in between the Endeavor training arc was kind of it,
Yeah,
it
it
felt a
doesn't.
little bit like, oh, I forgot about that, like, oh, oh, that's what, oh, okay, oh, yeah, I guess I kind of care but not really anymore, because like the the emotion is not very fresh in
'Cause you're
from
right. The
the
Endeavor
Endeavor arc.
Agency arc is supposed to come right into the War arc versus having the My Villain Academia. So,
Yeah.
you're right. I didn't even think about that. It does kind of lead right into it because it's like a kind of there's a little bit of regretful. There's a little bit of alluding to a lost son, and yeah, his oldest son is like, "What about not what you did to Toya?"
Right, exactly. So yeah, that's where I feel like My Hero actually is more effective in a lot of ways with how it tells its story. And you know, back back in the earlier arcs, like that's where we got our most satisfaction. Is like, oh shit, this reveal happened so quick, and everything is happening all at once, and it feels awesome. And there's like this beautiful Sakuga fight animation for it, and like the payoffs were quick and to the point. And I first saw like I first saw this like yeah, like for now this is like a really fun thing to watch in like a few episodes time. Like yeah, it's super satisfying, but it's like very quick gratification. And I could sort of envision Shirakoshi having problems with longer forms of storytelling
Well, it's
because of
interesting.
how he formulates this.
It's potatoes. My favorite phrase. All of that for a drop of world hero mission. Um, but the thing that like always Horikoshi, like initially he was like really good at doing like really short punchy arcs because his view was that he had two series before My Hero Academia that both got canceled. So he's got like a lot of like fear that like the Shonen Jump editorial board will like come after him at any point. That they'll
Right.
axe the series. So that's sort of the reason why, you know, the whatchamacallit, the Chunin exam ripoff is really quick and punchy. The hero killer Stain is super quick and punchy. The forest camp arc is super quick and punchy. The hideout raid is super quick and punchy. But when he gets to like longer arcs where like the hideout raid arc, you can kind of see his weaknesses in terms of like trying to tell one sustained story that doesn't end quickly.
Yeah.
It's interesting because like the anime and the manga just seems to be the worst of both worlds. It's all of Horikoshi's weaknesses at the forefront with the storytelling, but it doesn't have the Sakuga manga or the Sakuga animation to really back it up.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely. So definitely, it was unfortunate.
It's just so disappointing. You were the chosen man. You were, you know, but now Demon Slayer's lapped you. Jujutsu Kaisen's taken on your thing. I believed in you, Deku. I believed in you. You failed me when I needed you most. Well, just what do you think of that sequence, though? All right, so let's imagine it's right order. Do you see why I like that little story beat so much, where they're like, you know, fighting against KKK members?
Yeah, that was something that, you know, built a little bit of like backstory and character into the villain troupe that that Shigaraki has, you know.
Oh, I love it because it kind of shows like you know, makes the villains more heroic and sympathetic because it shows that like you know, they're this place for misfits and there is like prejudice for like people who are like mutants and whatnot who have altered appearances, and so the villains, you know, makes them like, you know, oh, we're this anarchist communist collective, the League of Villains, and we're fighting against X-Men KKK members. It's great. I love the fact that they're so fucking poor that all their equipment is breaking, and then they're about to break apart, and they're like yelling at Shigaraki, "You fucked us over!" And all that element is great, but it makes no sense to place it where. Well, here's my theory. You want to hear a little minor spoiler for the manga?
Sure. At this point, yeah. By the way, spoilers alert.
Spoiler alert. So
in
the current manga, there's a huge battle happening. So what happens is, you remember the octopus guy?
You mean the guy who eats different foods and becomes...
No, another one. The guy who has like tentacles and he has like tentacle he's like a really minor background character.
Don't remember.
Type in Shoji, My Hero Academia, and maybe that'll get your memory.
Just fucking oh, that guy.
Yeah. So they've done next to fucking nothing with him.
Yes.
So Horikoshi gives him a big moment where like there's a bunch of mutant people who are like working with Shigaraki, and they were all being led by Spinner, who's been buffed up with some quirks, and he's kind of like in this like, you know, manic drooling state. He doesn't really have a mind, and they're like this huge mob, and they're like, you know, fuck the regular, we're the heteromorphs, we're the mutants, we've been discriminated against. You don't know how it's like in the rural city where they still prejudice and they, you know, do discrimination and they beat us up and they kill us. And then Shoji is like standing like, I do understand. That's why I want to be a hero. So he gets like a really big dramatic moment. Him and the animal guy. And then it's like, you know, he shows his face what it looks like without the mask on. And they show that he's got like scars and big teeth and kind of freaky looking. And he's like, oh, you know, that's why I fight. You know, it's like a great civil rights allegory kind of thing. But like, my guess is they were forced to include that in because now this suddenly becomes a lot more relevant in the anime because it directly ties to the, you know, Mutant Exclusion League. So they're like, fuck, we gotta get this back in or else this later scene's gonna make no fucking sense.
Wait, I thought My Hero Academia, the manga, was finished right now.
No, it's still running.
I thought they were about to finish it up after the war arc.
Well, there's a second war arc.
There's a second war arc?
There's a second war arc.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
There's the Dark Deku storyline, and then there's the big final battle, which is the second war arc.
I does it get any better from here? Do you think?
I like the Dark Deku storyline, and I don't know, the second war
Without
arc
any
has.
spoilers.
I like the. I think you'll really like the Dark Deku if they don't fuck it up with mid animation. I think it does something really, probably the most interesting thing with the status quo of the series and Midoriya. Eventually, you'll see my. I remember I was telling you about it. Like Deku leaves the school and becomes a vigilante, and you're like, "Oh, that's so interesting. I don't want to have it spoiled for me. Don't tell me. I don't want to watch your video."
Yeah, I don't want to hear too much about it, but yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that I like that arc. Although I think it's a little too short. I think it could have been a little longer. And then there's the final war arc, which is it's going okay. There's definitely the sense of fatigue. But like so, but my big issue though is that like so they give this, they're trying to give big moments for all the supporting characters, and so he's trying to do something with Shoji. But like, why is this not in earlier in the series? Why the fuck are you just bringing this up now? This is actually really interesting. It speaks to the problem in the superhuman society. You should have mentioned this much, much earlier, that there's like prejudice towards, there's these new forms of prejudice. We don't care about black, white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever. We care about like frog people and lizard people and all this other shit.
Right. I think that would have set an interesting tone to My Hero Academia, potentially, because I didn't realize that was like a significant like message like they were saying within the story. Because I think that would be really cool actually too. Whoops.
Well, now you can see it more explicitly. I got some cat button there. This is rated. This is for the furry stream. Coco loves. Yeah.
Coco cares about anthropomorphic rights.
Yeah, exactly. She cares about cat people. It's a really interesting idea, and I love the idea of like an evil KKK organization that the League of Villains kills. But it's so stupid that it wasn't at its appropriate time. Putting it there makes no sense. It was so ham-fisted and stupid to like use the Mr. Compress escape moment as like a way to like throw that in the last fucking minute. And more, you should have done more with this idea. You shouldn't have like just put it in at the last fucking minute.
Yeah, that's yeah. This, you know what that actually kind of reminds me of? I heard this thing where what is that anime called again? That samurai that only uses the back of his blade.
Oh, Rurouni Kenshin?
Rurouni Kenshin, yeah. I heard that in a filler arc, they kind of made this minor character. They did the story arc with this minor character, and then they killed off the minor character at the end of the filler arc. But it's only revealed afterwards in the manga that minor character turns into a major villain. So they kind of fuck up the whole entire story in the anime, and they have to do some kind of like ass pull because of that. So
well, that's why you don't fuck with the canon. You don't fuck with the canon. You give us what we bought. It's like why we liked it. It's why you're adapting it. I don't want your froppy side story. I don't want your beach episodes. I don't want your stupid bullshit. I want the good stuff.
yeah, they can have those. They can have those as like some weird like filler side story bullshits, but like yeah, you can't tamper with the continuity that much. Like work with the artists here. Work with the mangaka for fuck's sake, you know.
Yeah. All right. So let's wrap this up so we can do our final thing. What would you give My Hero season 5 and the half of 6?
Season 5 was basically the students fighting each other, right?
It was the students fighting each other, Class B getting to do shit. It was the Endeavor Agency arc, and then it was My Villain Academia. Whoa.
The Endeavor. Okay, so the students fighting each other, and that was like slightly higher.
You like that a lot more than I thought you would.
I mean, it's kind of like a nothing training fight each other students arc, another tuning exam kind of thing. But it was like at a certain point we already experienced so many like tuning exam things with the students, I think, competing with each other. So at this point it felt like it's just like kind of like a waste of story time, in the sense like nothing is really progressing in the story. um so I would give that probably like 6.5,
Yeah,
something like that.
I agree with you. I'd give it a 6. I thought it was probably the best animated thing we've seen in all these stupid bullshit.
Yeah.
It had like one or two Sakuga moments, but it was a lot of time put into Class B, who we don't really care about, and Horikoshi doesn't quite have the skill to like balance so many characters.
Right. But then this current arc, I felt myself like not caring so much because
Well, wait,
just like
you gotta give an opinion about Endeavor Agency arc and My Villain.
oh, but it's like the Endeavor Agency is combined with the student training.
No, it's
arc.
they're two separate arcs.
All right, so the agency arc, probably give it like a 5.5 or something like that.
I agree. It's funny because I think Endeavor's like the best written character in My Hero Academia. But
Yeah,
like, it's too short. He doesn't really teach them fucking anything. He just says, "Be faster than me." He doesn't really give them much. The best stuff is just him with his family, which I enjoy. But other than that,
right.
it's like so minor and inconsequential. I don't really care.
Yeah, yeah, it was quite strange.
Uh,
It's
my,
quite a weird arc, but I guess somewhat enjoyable because we got to know a little bit about Endeavor, I guess. Um, and then there's the season 6, the war. That was like a solid. I hate to say it, it's a solid 5 for me.
wait. What about my villain?
That was another 5 for me.
Fuck you. I'm gonna give it a 7 because it's still my favorite material. They might have butchered my boy, they might have fucked it up, but I still like the Shigaraki flashback. I still like Doofenshmirtz. There's like 1 or 2 moments of Sakuga. They fucked it up, but I still, that's still my favorite piece of My Hero content in the past couple of years. So I'm gonna give it a slight curve, even if they fucking mangled my boy.
You know what? You convinced me. I'll give it 5.5. There we go. Because, there was some nice story beats with like Twice pretending to be Shigaraki and, trying to save their not the doctor, but
The broker, the guy, their equipment broker.
Yeah, the broker. And Shigaraki coming in, like, I thought some of that was nice, but the logic behind, the way they write around Shigaraki's powers is like the way Hirokoshi writes around Shigaraki's powers is just feels like such a like it feels wrong to me. It feels wrong. There should be more intellectual battles with Shigaraki because his powers is just like that much higher class than most other villains and shit that he comes across. And the fact that they don't even he doesn't even consider that in the story is just feels like it's an awkward way to write around it.
Yeah, Horikoshi really like dug himself in a ditch that he never like was able to figure out when he gave like Shigaraki. Oh, I touch anything and I destroy it, which is just a terrible way to build your character's battle set around. And he also like didn't turn him into like a fucking Joker manipulator. And when he had the opportunity to, he fucking threw it all out for his fucking war arc.
Right. Yeah. That would have been nice.
Oh god, I would have loved that. Just Shigaraki in like a pimp suit, just like giving orders and like being a villain mastermind, doing like Joker level schemes. Just give me like 1 or 2 arcs of that status quo. I think that would have been so nice.
Yeah.
All right. So what score would you give the war?
A 5.
Agreed. Yeah, 5 for me. You fucked it up. You have mediocre animation. It just you fucked up the Dobby dance. You had mediocre animation across the board. It just highlights all the sort of storytelling deficiencies. That really pissed me off. Putting that flashback there, it made no fucking sense. It was like just trying to fumble something you fucked up and you shouldn't have messed with in the first place. It should have been in season 5. You shouldn't have had a fucking beach episode. You shouldn't have like ruined your series just to like try and compete with Demon Train and try and like sell that third fucking movie. You know, just to make like less than $50 million. Maybe you could somehow redeem it, but I don't see it. I feel like all the talent went to Mob Psycho, season 3. So there you go. Our boy Deku has failed us. The once promising star is fading away. Fuck you, Bones. Fuck you, Japan. God damn it. Yeah, it's so sad to see what was once the shining light of shonen fall from such terrible grace. Or not so much fall, just like sliding into really aggressive mediocrity.
Potato's asking, what power would you prefer Shigaraki have, you think?
Good question. I don't know, maybe mind control. I feel like that would fit better with the Joker kind of power set that like give him some Code Geass shit.
Because I think there's something interesting with, having a more mental battle kind of character versus a physical attacker kind of character. A character who's like already shown to succeed so well in like physical battles. Like then you add in another like layer of like of battling, like with mental strategy and shit like that.
I got it. I got it. I got a good one for Shigaraki. Mind transfer.
Mind transfer. Okay.
That he can like transfer his consciousness to other people's bodies and control them.
So what would happen with his original body? Would the other person transfer to his body, or they be like unconscious?
That's a good question. Like, you could do a lot with it. You could have him like have his original body. It just goes unconscious, and they have to protect it, and then eventually it can get like destroyed. So then he's just like jumping from body to body, and then maybe he could have like different Nomu bodies designed for him for like different situations.
Sounds like it'd be kind of cool. And of course, if he can't he can't murder the body that he's in, otherwise he'd kill himself. I think that would be a perfectly reasonable
that would be his limitation. He needs another body to like transfer out of, so he can't just like take control of Ochika and kill her to like fuck with Midoriya.
Right, like he needs some limits for that kind of power to work.
I feel like 1, it lets him be a manipulator, and 2, it also lets him also be a punch bro.
Reminds me so much actually of Jessica Jones, Purple Man.
Well, he didn't transfer his consciousness. He could just control people by talking to them.
Yeah, but basically mind control. So
yeah, true. But like the idea is that like he could take over bodies, but he still
Like he
What?
has a significant weakness with
Yeah,
like his own body is kind of like helpless, but they don't know where his original body is exactly, and they don't. Yeah, I think that kind of thing is can be pretty interesting. Like, yeah, of course they've done it with like they've done something similar, I think, with Jessica Jones and Purple Man, but that was that that was one of my favorite uh that was one of my favorite things to watch. Uh,
I
Having like the super strong versus like someone who's like a mental manipulator who like constantly fucks with the main character. Like, and
Yeah,
that's
it's like it leads to like Code Geass situations where like, oh, we just deployed the defensive grid. It's so good, and then someone walks in and they have like a sly smile, and then everything blows up because they put a bomb, and then it's like, oh shit, Shigaraki was there.
right, exactly. And
And it also lets you have the punch bro moments with the Nomu system, and like it kind of lets that be like the bad guys thing. I always like it when like bad guys and good guys have like distinctive power things, and like the Nomus are like kind of like a fun like oh, this is an abomination of science that's a perversion of the hero society, and the idea that like he just slips into different Nomu bodies that are equipped for different situations would be a way that he could, you could get those like Goku versus Vegeta punch bro moments.
and maybe as he's when he switches into those bodies, he like learns more and more about the hero's particular weaknesses. Like even after all of his failures of like beating the heroes, he's still learning like how to beat them like in future battles. So that would make for some interesting storytelling, I feel.
Yeah, it fits like the Joker narrative, because it lets him do mind games and
Yeah.
fuckery and infiltration, but it also lets him like do traditional punch bro heroics. I feel like that kind of like it fits the both needs of the character, and like because like Mahito, at least mechanically from a standpoint, I think is a better version of Shigaraki, who's has a better toolkit.
Yeah, I'm wondering like if he is able to switch bodies, like should it be like should it be something that is discreet that most people won't be able to figure out? Like he's able to do like all kinds of crazy stealth missions all the time, or should it be something that has like a s- like a very apparent visible effect? Like, oh, Shigaraki is controlling this body for sure because his head grew out of this other guy's shoulders or something like that.
Maybe the eyes switch subtly or something. Yeah, you're right. It would be fun that there's like a tell, and he has to like think of a way to like move around it. Like I don't know, the eyes become cat-like or something. Like I don't think it should be like super apparent.
Right. I think it would make an interesting uh, dynamic if like the heroes could also like be able to figure out like, oh, okay, if we just look at their eyes, we'll be able to see if Shigaraki is actually controlling the body or not. Like there'll be a
Yeah,
way to screen people in a sense.
and then like you could have like a badass moment where like the purple guy or some like girl is like takes it out, and then oh shit, it's Shigaraki eyes. Ah, fuck.
Right.
How did you get in here? Ah.
Yeah, something clever like that, I guess, or whatever. I don't know.
I mean,
So
it's just me like spitting off my head. That's just one idea. But all right, so that's our thoughts for My Hero.